There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a great show for you today. If you are a single person, and maybe, well, we'll get into that, but we'll start there. And Brylye, you're a single person, kind of, sort of, maybe sometimes, yes?
You know, the new day and age that is taken actually from a lot of advice from older people is that if you're not married, you're single. And I don't know how I feel about that either, because that's a little crazy to me. But in the world of trying to find somebody who's going to be in your life and build it and live it with you, that can be kind of an intense decision to make. And I don't think enough of us pay attention to the importance of it. So with that said, I would love to welcome Brylye Collins, who is here with us today. She has a website that is buildingwithbry.com, and that's BRY. And she actually teaches us how to do these things, people, helping singles thrive in self-love to find love intentionally. So welcome, Brylye. How are you?
I'm well, and thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm excited to be here and talk about, relationships. So a little about me. I thank you for the intro. It was perfect. But to add on to that, so I'm Brylye Collins, and I'm a certified relationship coach and matchmaker, and I created this work because modern dating has just gotten so loud and so confusing, and honestly, it's straight up exhausting for a lot of really amazing people. So the people that I work with are successful, they're busy, they're emotionally aware, and they're not necessarily struggling to meet individuals, but they're struggling to meet the right people, right? So, and they're tired of the endless texting and the mixed signals and situationships that amount to absolutely nothing, and then you feel like you've just lost all this time in life. So really the two ways that I support singles is through one, intentional connections. That is my modern discrete matchmaking service. And I work with men and women. So I take people off the apps and into a very human process and take that algorithm out of it. I get to know them really deeply through, in-depth interviews. I learn for their, relationship readiness, their values, their lifestyle, what their long-term goals are for relationships, and even them as a human. And then I introduce them to people that are genuinely aligned. And then I stay connected with them throughout the process. So also too, if they run into any hiccups through dating, if it's a weird text message that they can't figure out how to unpack, or, where do we go for dinner, and, really just partner through the entire process with them once they're matched. And then the other side of the work is really where it started, and that's Thriving Solo, which is my empowerment work for people who are single. And single can look different in a lot of ways, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. You could be an empty nester. You could have just gotten out of divorce. Maybe, you retired and you're no longer with your coworkers. But like, how do you focus on yourself and build confidence and boundaries and break those patterns, so that way, relationships and even dating feel less chaotic, but really start feeling more intentional and solid in, what you're looking for. So it really starts with understanding yourself first.
Well, I got to ask both of you guys, do either of you remember or have seen the show Fiddler on the Roof?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you remember the song, Matchmaker, Matchmaker, Make Me a Match? That's you, Brylye.
Yes, it is. That's actually the first time I've heard that from somebody, though. I love it. And yeah.
That's because you don't talk to very many people that are as old as I am. But I was actually in the show Fiddler on the Roof at one point. So that song is blazoned in my mind. But you don't look like an old little Jewish woman.
No, I'm not.
Good point.
So I think it's wonderful, because I don't know, I've talked to my children and Brylye and others. Dating, it ain't what it used to be. I gotta tell you, it is completely flipped on its head, hasn't it?
It
Yeah.
really has. And even down to just basic communication, right? Like I know when I was
Yes.
dating in high school, or even too when I met my husband, or we're now divorced, but it was in person, and you actually had to have a conversation with each other, and there you had to wait to talk to them. And it wasn't so much instant gratification. And nowadays, with texting and social media and everything else, it's just it hits sometimes really fast and furious, and it's over before you even know it happened. So
Yeah.
I have a younger son. He's not younger anymore. He's now a middle-aged married man. But when he was young, he used to text people. And I said to him, son, why don't you pick up the phone and call them? Then you can have a personal moment with them. And he said, well, Dad, it's because I'm texting with 4 different girls at the same time. And I said, what are you, a time manager? What is it? But that is one of the things that's changed is personal communication. And I remember when there was a phone in my house and and it had a cord that went to the wall, and you picked up the phone and talked to somebody. I would talk to my girlfriend for hours in high school, and until my dad said, get off the phone. But that doesn't happen anymore. It's all so quick, and so I would not. I'm a single guy. I choose to be single because, quite frankly, everybody I know has got too much baggage. But if I were to date, I wouldn't even know how to begin.
yeah. And, really, there's 2 points there. I mean, I remember that as well. Like my poor boyfriend in high school, his parents like calling them at like 10 o'clock at night, hoping that he was going to pick up, and he missed it. And the mother answered. I mean,
Oh,
like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I woke you up. Like, wrong number. But, excitement of talking to somebody, right? And the anticipation that, you're going to have a phone call and you're learning something new about them. And, in today's day and age, once you start that connection, and whether it's on a dating app or something else, I always recommend to people pick up the phone and call them, because there's one thing that I think everybody needs to know, and this really helps with that, is do you like the way they sound as an individual? Like, do you like the sound of their voice? Because if you're planning on anything long term with them, is that something that you want to listen to every day? And it's very easy to start with that, but then you also have that personal connection. You're understanding the maybe content behind what they're saying. You're not trying to decipher through a text, like, what do they mean? Because you can hear the emotion in their voice. So really, it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You get to hear what they sound like, and if you're attracted to their voice and you like the way it sounds, but then also too, you can hear the emotion behind what they're saying.
Is that how it is these days, Rochelle?
yeah. I mean, communication alone. Do you know how many times I've had a conversation, whether it was a female or a male, just in general, meeting somebody new,
Mhm.
and the way that we've learned to interact with each other. We don't ever think about the long-term goal. And Brylye, I'd love to hear what you say about that, because you have these conversations with people and it's just immediate.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, I don't even like actually how you communicate, let alone your voice, but how you communicate what you say, the way you talk about your life and yourself and all of these things. But then we jump into it so fast, and there was like, okay, well, how did we even get here? And
Mhm.
sometimes it's kind of ugly all of a sudden.
Yeah. And even with that too, right? Like with their communication style, are they a good listener? Do they
Mm,
want to learn about you? Or are they more interested in just talking about themselves?
yeah.
And, so it's a great opportunity to kind of just rip that band-aid off. But then also too, like texting, if you're texting constantly with somebody, right? And this is a new individual in your life, and it's flowing and everybody's communicating and it seems like it's going well. But at the same time too, you got to take into consideration that individual that you're texting or you're messaging with probably wasn't texting with you, and maybe not anybody else, that amount of time, and now they've just incorporated this into their daily schedule. So it's a lot of pressure with the constant communication all the time. And then also too, I mean, you can straight up text yourself or talk yourself right out of a date before you even get an opportunity to make it there, because you've just overshared or over communicated too much because you're so excited that there is no, sense of, I can't wait to go on this date, because you already know everything. And at that point, you're like, do we go on the date at this point? So,
Well, yeah. And the other thing about texting is that you can't be 100% sure that you're actually talking to who you think you're talking to. It's like, let's talk on the phone. Okay. And hi there. Hi, my name's Jennifer. What? You could. You're not really even sure that the person that you're talking, or there is some Nigerian guy sitting on a bed someplace, and because they're texting you back and forth. I've known people that have lost thousands of dollars in that kind of thing. Which I got to tell you, Brylye, one of the things that I do nowadays is because sometimes I'll get a message from Facebook and it'll be, "Hi, how are you?" And so before I even answer, I go to their Facebook page. If there are 35 men who look like me are her friends on Facebook, I don't reach back out to her because I have an idea that there's something nefarious going on. Are my instincts correct?
yeah. And it's not just even with men, women experience the same thing as well. But like, I was talking to somebody the other day about this and had an experience with somebody that tried to add me on Facebook. And I'm like, I'm looking at their profile. I'm like, something feels off. So then I go down to my mutual connections and I'm like, I actually don't have any mutual connections unless it's other females like me in this business that I'm connected to. And, come to find out they were a bot. And, you have to be really careful these days with AI and the creation of photos and even filters. I know I personally love to download the dating apps. I pick usually one a month, and just to test what's going on, more for research than anything. If I find my forever partner on there, great while I'm doing it, but my expectations are not there for that. I'm literally just going out to see, how people are, talking about themselves, or, what kind of photos they're using, or how quickly they're responding back. And, with that, there was a gentleman that specifically said, I'm not using any AI for my photos. And I'm looking at his photos and he has 6 fingers. That doesn't belong
You're like,
there.
you already gave yourself away.
No, and then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, well, none of his other photos have 6 fingers, but this looks really sharp. And then even too, right? Like, I know, Rochelle, we were talking about hair, earlier, and like with that, it's natural for your hair not to be totally perfect all the time or to have wrinkles. So when you see a photo that's just really just so crisp, like, to me, that's an automatic flag of this could be AI, and like, let's go down that rabbit hole before you get excited. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. And the photo thing, I'm not on any dating apps because I I really don't. I would probably just have too much fun. But we've made it. This is what my little cousin was over here for my birthday, and they're on their phones and they're giggling. They're just getting all giddy, like almost hyperventilating. And I'm like, what are you looking at? And they're on some little app looking at. It was like they were shopping. There's even for the younger generation, like it's almost like our values have completely gone out the window because it's just like, oh, well, if someone doesn't last or this doesn't work or whatever, there'll be a next. And then there's people like me that I'm like, every single moment and every situation, every reaction and relationship with people matters to me. So there's been kind of a divide maybe in the generations. Why do you think that's become that way?
well, first of all, right, like when you get onto social media or if you go onto TikTok or anything else, like you see all these beautiful humans. I mean,
Yeah.
they're gorgeous. And, a lot of it is, filtered, or maybe they had hair and makeup artists, or maybe they're at the right angle. Like, I know I can take a photo at a certain angle and my face shape change. Like, I'm a shapeshifter, right?
Yeah.
And I filter. It depends on what angle I'm taking it at, right? And so people are looking at these images, and especially, younger individuals, and they're like, this is how I'm supposed to look, or, this is what society's telling me men want or women want out of a relationship. And, there's a lot of people that just want an average everyday human that, their hair turns gray, or you know what, maybe they don't have 6-pack abs, and maybe they're not running marathons every weekend or in the gym super fit. Like, they just want everyday human, like, just to follow
Authenticity
the
is what
mold.
we're,
You
yeah.
like, because I'll tell you right now, I don't wake up perfect, and I'm sure none of us do. And
Oh, be still, my foolish heart. Come on.
I'm missing lashes right now and you can't even tell. And I don't care if you can. That's what's crazy.
like, I mean,
By the way, we need to take a break. But before we go, would you like me to show you my 6-pack? I
Yeah.
have to go to the refrigerator though to get it. So we
only
need
if it has Drake May on it.
it has who?
Drake May. I'm a Patriots fan. So
Oh
Oh,
no.
okay. Take this break. Get the heat out.
That's why she asked if I was in Seattle. I know now. I got it. So, we need to take a break for show. Where do we go to find Brye's website?
Yes, go to buildingwithbrye.com. Check out what she's got to offer, and we'll be right back.
The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and Brylye is here. And Brylye, our guest today is, because I'm probably going to screw up her first name again.
No, you're good. It is Brylye Collins. Go visit her website and follow along with us at buildingwithbrye.com. Thriving solo and intentional connections. And let's not leave off on where we finished. I am not on either side of who wins for the Super Bowl because my team is out. So I get to be happy for both of us on both ends. But Kevin, did you have a question?
Well, I wanted to ask, because it's been like decades since I've actually gone on a date. I wouldn't even know how to behave. Do you open the door for, as a man, do you open the door for your date? Do you offer to make sure that you take care of the bill for your date? Do you wait for her to do that? What about when you are done with the date and you've had a good time and you're sitting in the car or at their door? Do you kiss them? Do they invite you in? Do you go? Do you say, I don't even know how to behave on a date? And I know that you help people that are, we'll call me dating handicapped, that you help people like me be able to figure out the protocols and how to do it. And as an example, do you want to invite yourself in and then maybe have an intimate moment, or are you scared to do that because you don't know how it's going to be? I just don't have any idea. So help me, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all really personal, right? Like, and it depends on who you're with. So, I've been out on dates before, and I've had clients going on dates before where, they're like, typically I split on the first date. And, for me, that's okay. But it really depends on your preferences. So I know, like, when I'm working with my clients, I really try to flush that out in the interview process. So, if I'm working with women and they're like, look, I'm looking for a provider, I'm looking for a man that's going to take the lead and, do that. When I'm communicating with my bachelors, I communicate that to them ahead of time. So then there is no guessing game, right? And then, opening doors, I think that's just good manners. At least that's the way I was raised. And, my dad always said to me, he goes, Brylye, if you're going out on a date, you should never have to pick up the bill, and you definitely shouldn't have to open a door. But at the same time, too, we've also evolved, right? And, women definitely are, some of them are expecting that, and some are okay if you don't. And I think it's a very personal decision. So, and, as for the end of the evening, that's really up to, the individuals and maybe the chemistry that they're feeling and how comfortable they feel. But, I think as a male in the dating scene that you really have to be respectful of those boundaries if somebody does put that in place and they're not interested in, proceeding or moving forward with a end of the night kiss or something like that. And, and not take offense to it too, because I know individuals that don't kiss on the first date on purpose because they want to see what happens after the fact and if there's actual follow-up and if they're really interested in who they are as a human, not just, getting into bed with them, in a week or so. So
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rochelle, and then I got another question. I got a lot of questions for Brylye.
I know. I'll let you free. But that's such a good point because I even hear of situations where it's a lot of females, which males don't think this as commonly as it is, where they are the ones who the males will tell them straight off the bat, like, I don't want to see you again, or, something was a little off. And those moments are even harder to deal with because that's when you don't know how somebody is going to react to something. But I love that you've created a system where it's not it's not like you're blind matching people, which usually has caused lots of problems as I've ever seen. But it's almost like they get to meet each other for the first time as if they both maybe showed up in a public place at the same time, but had somebody there on their side of it. That the in-person interaction, even compared to on the phone and the texting, is so critical for so many reasons. So if you're looking into the dating world, Brylye, you probably get people to try to interact personally rather than digitally at any point, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, that's how stuff gets lost in translation, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you need to have those conversations and, be upfront and honest about it because,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking about just relationships in general and my own personal ones that I've been in. And anytime that I've actually not spoken up about something that, I didn't feel good about, or maybe I was like, oh, I'll just brush it under the rug. Maybe it was a one-time thing, always ends up biting you later on down the road. And, I'm really big on go with your gut and trust your intuition and, move forward with that because you know yourself better than anybody else will ever know you. So,
Right. Yeah. And if you show authenticity, that person only can show it back. If you go into something and you're not being your full self, that person probably is doing the same. So that is a huge point. Kevin, go ahead. I can see it eating you.
Well, one thing I'm curious about is at what point in your dating life, before you go to the big nasty or whatever, at what point do you say, oh, and by the way, just so you know, I snore? Does that ever come up? Because that can be something that you get into it and you're like, I had no idea that
oh,
another
yes.
human being could sleep so loudly.
Yeah. So part of my interview process with clients, I actually ask them even down to what is your daily routine and what is your sleeping patterns, right? Because if you're a night owl and somebody else wants to be in bed by 8 and maybe they're up at 4 a.m. every day and you're not going to bed until 2 a.m., chances are, it's probably not going to work out long term unless somebody's schedule is changing, right? Because you don't have that time, kind of set aside for each other or really on the same schedule. And it's not that you can't do it. Like lots of people, obviously are with people that are on different schedules, but, you have to be aware of that as you're starting a relationship with somebody and, what that's going to look like long term and if it's going to really fit with your lifestyle. So.
Oh, and I've got another question for you that I think is a newer thing. First of all, though, this strange man who comes into the show every now and again, Brylye, would you like to say hello?
Hey, Gowdy, 1971. Dad, I love you. He says, great show today. Thank you. That's all I'll say. Love you. We can both learn from this. So pay attention, maybe a little bit.
We'll
but Kevin,
keep
go
that.
ahead. Because I'm going to blow up with a question too.
Well, and by the way, he says it's a great show, and this is a really cool thing for us to be talking about, because there are so many things that. Oh, and what I was going to ask is, there's a new thing that seemed to have evolved in the last 8 to 10 years, kind of thing, where people are now finding it more acceptable to have separate bedrooms and be married couples, because he might snore, or she might move her legs a lot, or something to disturb the other person. Is that becoming more of a thing? And then they create a third room, which can be the rumpus room, if you know what I mean, or they can invite each other onto dates into their own boudoir. Or is that becoming more of a thing because of the independence of people?
Separate bedrooms, I think it's really personal, but it's funny. I actually met somebody randomly yesterday, and we were talking. I'm talking about building with Brylye with him, and intentional connections and thriving solo. And he was telling me, about his experience. He's married, happily married, and everything else. But they do have separate rooms, and they're like, it's crucial for our relationship, because I like to sleep, she wants to sleep, and we want our own space sometimes. And, I think it's good for people to have their own personal space, right? Because, yes, you're with people all day long, possibly, or maybe you're not, but, you need that time to kind of come back to yourself, re-energize, and, everything's energy, right? Like if you're sleeping next to somebody every night, guess what? You're picking up their energy, whatever that looks like, and vice versa. So, I think it's really personal. Maybe if I was to ever be in a long-term relationship again, I wouldn't be opposed to it if somebody wanted separate bedrooms, just because I've been sleeping in my own bed for so long. But,
dancing around the room at 3 a.m. because they ain't not there.
Right. But, when I was 21, I had a different answer, so I think it's all, in people's preferences.
Yeah. Like you could be like my mom and her husband. They've got it figured out. They have the same big bedroom, but 2 separate beds put together, so that they have they can be together whether they want to, or be a little bit separate. But that is such a good point, because the space boundary is that alone causes this ripple effect with trust and respect and all these things. But there isn't really a lot of space. It's either like we have to be completely connected or not at all. And I think that's really starting to affect people.
And Brylye, I don't want anybody to misconstrue this next statement, but what happens when somebody falls in the crack?
Squish him. Lay on top. I don't know. You can make it better or worse.
You've got 2 beds that are together, so they're obviously separate beds, and then somebody moves to the middle, and they
that's
fall
usually
in.
the dog. There's this space in the middle just for the chihuahua. So get a dog. That's my advice.
I was going to say, I think they actually sell like things to put in the middle of the beds, like to keep it so they don't separate and nothing falls in between.
Yeah, they bought that bed specifically the way it was. They didn't make it. It was already a thing. So that was new to me. I always thought that was weird. But as Brylye, you said you come along and things kind of change as you grow and as you adapt. And to have a relationship like that can be challenging at times. If you're with somebody for 10 years, maybe you want things to maybe be a little bit different, but you have to be able to communicate that.
Yeah, unless you were married like my marriage, in which case in the middle of the bed was a gun turret. It said, "Come over here and I'm going to shoot your ass off," kind of thing. And anyway.
It's the blanket for me. Don't take the blanket from me. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So your work is really, it must be really interesting, because the human animal has got so many different stories and ways of communicating with each other and relating to each other. Do you ever get surprised?
No. No, I don't. I
Damn.
feel like, throughout my career, because, and I know, Kevin, you and I had talked about this previously, I worked in HR and talent acquisition, and, I hear a lot of stuff from a lot of individuals, and I just have throughout my adult career. And so now, it's more just being a great listener and taking in that information and then looking for a solution or helping people strategize to find a solution to whatever they're going through. So
And I love that because now you can, on your business card, you can put matchmaker, talent acquisition.
I could definitely, for sure.
Because isn't that what we all want in a We want to acquire talent of something that we don't have, or somebody that we feel can be so empathetic and so kind and so loving, and then we get married and then it all changes. But that's a story for another time.
No.
Not
Then you get married
but-
and it grows. You see?
Yeah.
There's a different side.
Oh, is
And when we
that
come
how
back from
it
this break,
goes?
I kind of want to ask you a question, Brylye, based off
Yeah.
of what Kevin just said that has me curious.
Mhm.
But everybody, go visit her website. She has all the information you need. Buildingwithbrye.com. That's BRY. And guys, go visit her. I could imagine how fun that could be. If I was ready for all of that, I would come to you. But Kevin and my team take on all my time, and I love letting them. So.
And if you're a man who has a tendency to think that a female is a different species than you, not only are you probably correct, but if you learn to negotiate that species so that you can understand what she is actually trying to tell you, go to Miss Collins' website, because it is it's something that can make your life a little bit, maybe a lot better. And we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Bryshelle's right there. And by the way, just so you know, we also have a music show that we do on Brushwood Media Network, which is called Greatest Vibes Unplugged at 9 o'clock Eastern every Monday through Friday. And Bryshelle is just dynamic, and she lets me play. So, and would you like to introduce our guest again?
Yes, we have Brylye Collins here with us today. Go to her website, buildingwithbrye.com, so that you can maybe experience some of the things we're talking about. But Brylye, before we move forward, I have to ask you, have you ever had somebody's differences in them that maybe they thought separated them from being able to date in a successful way that actually matched them with somebody beautifully? Like, let's say maybe an illness or like anything.
Yeah, I mean, really, matchmaking is about getting to know the individuals that you're working with, right? And
Right.
looking at it from a different lens, right? Because when you're like yourself and you're going out to date, you only see your perspective on it, and then, the other side of whoever you're going out to date with. But here, what I'm doing when I'm going through the interview process with it, and it's very in depth, it's a 9-page questionnaire, and then we still have a follow-up call after that to really walk through everything. And like, am I understanding this correctly? Do you have flexibility on this? And really just understanding where there is some flex in what they're doing, but also too, like, a famous one, people are like, oh my gosh, I want somebody blonde, or I want somebody over 5 feet tall, or, not 5 feet, but, 6 feet tall. And, like, not everybody is 6 foot tall and blonde, or, even women, not all women are blonde. So, with
Now, what
that,
happens if you used to be blonde? Does that
well,
count?
maybe I could throw that out there to him, but I wouldn't know that.
I mean, because if
Either
I
dyed your
used
hair
to
or
be,
lost it.
yeah.
If they want to share that they dye their hair, that's completely up to them throughout the process. But, like, so with that, are you open to somebody that, maybe has a different hair color, or, maybe this is the lifestyle they're living? I run into it a lot with people that are looking to, either start families, or maybe already have families and are divorced. And, what does that look like? And, I've had clients before say to me, I really would like to steer away from that. But at the same time, too, it's like, how much do you really want to steer away from that if that's somebody that you're planning on spending the rest of your life with? And it could be somebody that you potentially wouldn't look at because you're not taking off, the rose tinted glasses, and you're only looking for something specific that you saw on social media, or what the media has out there for you to look at, or what they're telling you to do. Like, think outside of that, and really, obviously there's things that people should be considering, right, with boundaries, or if somebody smokes and they don't want to be with a smoker, fine, that's okay. But are you putting up a wall because you don't want to be in a relationship, or are you open to being flexible?
Mhm.
I got teacher, I got a question.
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm 68 years old now, and most of the women that are within within shouting distance of my age, one way or the other, have been visited by what I call the excess baggage, where they have had the traumas in life and the stuff, and they don't seem. I have met very few that are happy-go-lucky, that have a great sense of humor, that laugh at my jokes, which, by the way, is kind of important, and all of those things. How do you help old guys like me find an old gal that actually has got a like sense of humor, or is it like pulling teeth from these old battle axes?
No, not at all. And I actually work with a lot of fantastic women that are, in the later stage of life, and, in their 50s, 60s, and, they really. Oh, what are you laughing at there, Kevin?
Well,
I was
because
giving him the look because you're telling him everything that he doesn't listen to me saying. So just preach. Go ahead.
No, there is a lot of really, unbelievably wonderful women out there, and men in those age ranges. And for me, I look at it as, like, number one, age is just a number, right? If you have something that you're compatible with somebody with, and, it's not too extreme, then, why not go out on the date and see how it goes? Because, you know what, that might be a totally different demographic that you haven't even thought about dating yet, but you know what, they have something in common. Maybe you get along really well. And, once I think you get past a certain stage in your life, it's about common interest, and, really committing to that companionship and working towards something else. That's at least what I'm seeing. And then to go back to your baggage conversation, I say this to everyone: you have to make a decision when you're dating, right? Unless you're just coming straight out of college or high school. And even then, people have situations that create emotional baggage, or, situations that are like, red flags for them moving forward. They're like, no, I'm never doing that again. But individuals are going to have stuff come with them, right? Especially if you're divorced, or if you have kids, or you're middle-aged and you've never dated, or never been married, or never had children. You know what? You have spent your entire life not being with somebody, and, how are you able to transition to that midlife? It's all change, and it's how open you are to that change. But you either take the carry on, which is, for me, the carry on when I'm talking to people is, have you done the work? Right? Like, you've had traumatic experiences. Maybe you had a horrible relationship, but are you currently working on yourself to overcome those challenges that you ran into, and really just get back to you? Or do you have the actual baggage that you have to pay for, and you have multiple suitcases and everything else, and you're not doing any work on yourself. So to me, there's two very different types of baggages. So I call it the carry-on and then the checked baggage. So
Oh, cool.
yeah.
So wait, when you teach in this process of your teachings and helping people get back to themselves really first,
Yeah.
when they're interacting with each other, do you help them as if like they're meeting a new friend, right? So it's just like you're really just getting to know the person. There's not a lot of expectation, or is it the opposite of that? Like you want them to engage in a way of not just friendship, but more intimate and more serious, so that kind of breaks it down a little bit faster, as
Yeah.
to say?
So when I'm working with individual clients, so on Thriving Soul, so let's say Brylye or Kevin, you guys sign up to work with me, it's very one-on-one, and we get back to who are you as an individual, right? Because in life, I feel like, or not feel like, society has just put so many different titles on all of us. So, I'm Brylye, but I'm also mom. I'm also an ex-wife now. I'm also a matchmaker. I'm a daughter. I'm a cousin. I'm all of these things. And in each one of those relationships, I don't want to say present a different version of myself, but in those roles, you're really different side of you for each one of them, right? Like I'm not going to interact with my children necessarily the same way I interact with my cousin or my ex-husband or whatever that is. So with that work, it's like I really ask people, strip away the titles, all the titles, and who are you as an individual, and what do you offer, right? And what do you expect in return? Because with all those different roles, right, we have things going on, and the first person we put aside is ourselves. Period, at the end of the day. And, it's really about coming back to you. And it's not about, being selfish about giving that time to yourself. It's not about being a narcissist because you're focusing on yourself. It's truly, if you are not the best version of you, how are you going to give to anybody else in your life, right? It's like that when you're on an airplane, what do? If something goes down and the face mask come on, you put on yours first, then you help others, right? Same thing goes with relationships. You really have to understand yourself and what you're looking for first, also to work through any maybe challenges that you've ran into or situations, and, overcome that before you get out there and start dating individuals. Because, if you haven't, and especially on those dating apps, I think that's really where a lot of people see it. You match with somebody, and you're giggling because I think you know where I'm going to go with this. So you're on these dating and you're matching with people and they haven't done the work. And by them not doing the work, people that download the apps sometimes just broke up with their significant other the night before, and they haven't dried their tears yet. Okay. They haven't even processed what happened the night before, but yet they're on a dating app and they put the best photos out there looking for instant gratification or, an ego boost. And at the same time too, though, you have another individual on it who maybe has done the work and they're excited to meet you. And they start a conversation with you, and then all of a sudden, guess what? Somebody calls you back and they're ready to get back into a relationship with you, or they've just decided they're not ready for it and they just poof, they're gone, ghost, right? And that leaves the other individual like, what is wrong with me? So when you don't do that work on yourself first, you're actually setting other people up for failure as well, because they might be excited to get to know you. And if you haven't done that work and you're not ready to show up in a relationship version, you know what? You could be crushing their soul as well. So I, always recommend that people, take that into consideration as they're dating. Like, what are you putting out there for individuals and also getting in return? So,
Brylye, have you ever considered, and I know you have, but a lot of people haven't, dating and meeting people? It's such a haphazard thing because it just happens to be a person that you work with that somebody else had hired at the same time they hired you, or it's a friend of a friend, or it's somebody you meet so it's very haphazard. So you can end up spending your whole life and not meet the person that was really meant for you because of all of the things you have in common and the way you are. And so that's why I am excited about your program, because you can take some of the guesswork out of it. It's not just a thing of randomly meeting somebody and saying, "Hey, I think you're cute. Come on, baby."
Mhm.
And I mean, that's great if that works for people. I mean, hey, I met my ex-husband that way, right? Like there wasn't,
Yep.
else. So, but at the same time too, right? Like, and hold on, forgive me for a second. Let me catch my thought here with this. With getting out there on the dating apps, right? Really it's about showing up as your best version and communicating. And I think at the end of the day, that's really it, is the communication. And people aren't always transparent in what they're looking for, or maybe they're embarrassed to say that as well. So,
Yeah. Or they
Now, do
don't
you
know.
and they don't know.
They don't care.
exactly? Now, do you know what "I'm in the wall" stage at the moment means? I have no idea.
I think he was
Rochelle?
talking about maybe me hitting a wall because I lost my train of thought.
No,
No.
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 This is him.
Yes,
This
he
is
says, I'm in the wall stage at the moment. Unfortunately, I'm not going to speak on that. But there's a lot of times too, Brylye, I've seen where people will go throughout their lives and they meet all these people and they say, well, I keep meeting the same person over again and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Or even the situation of their husband could be in front of them and keep coming around, coming around, coming around, and they're not actually ever ready for it. But I think the dating has become too, how you were saying, it's either just kind of fun and people haven't done the work, which they engage with each other, but that it also, I love that you brought up how it ruins other people's experiences. I've been that person and I've had to apologize to someone else because they're like, what did I do wrong? I'm like, it actually wasn't you, it fully was me. And to be able to just communicate that, going back to the most simple principle of it all, to be able to communicate, not a lot of us know where that even starts. So thank you for making this program available to work with you and find the match of your life and figure out who you are and love yourself unconditionally for it. So everybody go to her website, buildingwithbrye.com. That's BRY. We'll talk more about that when we come back. And Kevin, I know you're probably already blowing up with another question. So
I actually remembered what I was going to say.
oh,
So,
yes,
good.
go ahead.
yeah, so thank you for that. But I think, really people, and not even think, I mean, every person I've met them for a purpose, right? And most individuals are in your life for a purpose. And it could be to teach you a lesson even, right? So I think, if you keep meeting those same people over and over and over again in dating, so, you keep getting the people that are ghosting you, or they keep, showing up and maybe after 2 or 3 dates, decide it's not for you. Maybe it's what you're projecting out there and you're allowing in because you haven't done the work to stop attracting those same kind of people. So really, like, if you keep attracting the same type of partner over and over and over again, I challenge individuals to be like, why do you keep attracting the same person? And why are you not allowing something that's more aligned with your lifestyle to come in? Or is it because you're afraid of even being in a partnership with somebody and being open like that and vulnerable? Because people do that too, and they just keep going on the same merry-go-round because they're afraid of succeeding.
Sometimes you might even call that scars. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. Our scars are not signs of weakness. They are maps. Proof of the battles we faced and the roads we survived. Each scar tells a story. Each mark whispers of resilience. Don't hide them. Wear them as a reminder that you are still here, still breathing, still becoming. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. And not only can they be physical scars, they can be emotional scars, and they can be things that have happened in your life that it's important for you to do exactly what she's saying, and is to do the work and to go through it so that you can date somebody in a different pair of pants than the same guy that you've been dated for years. And then, or like in my case, it was like, At one point in my married life, my sister said, "Do you realize that you married your mother?"
Mm. I hear that a lot.
That's
And
really
I had,
cool.
I had no earthly idea. And, oh no, and then it turned out that she was exactly like my mother.
Why does that happen, Brylye?
Comfortable and it's familiar. You know what to expect. Even if it's not what you want, you know what to expect, right? And if somebody's behaving in the same way maybe somebody close to you has been, or even if it's an ex, right? You know what to expect.
Yep.
So, you keep reliving that and because it's comfortable.
Yeah. So then what happens is now I'm scared that I'm going to date my mother again. And so I don't do it at all.
But when you do the work, it changes all the
Yeah.
outcomes, right?
You really, and that's the thing, right? Like when you do the work, like I have the 8-week program and I have the one-off hour sessions, but the work is constant. Like you never stop. You have to, because at the end of the day, it's how you're talking to yourself. It's the dialogues that you're telling yourself and the stories. And I always say to my clients, you talk to yourself more than anybody is going to speak to you in your entire lifetime. So the words that you choose to say to yourself and the narratives that you say over and over again to yourself is what you're going to do. It's how you're going to behave, and it's what your expectations are going to be. So I actually just did a post about this earlier. And with that, I always talk about when I was younger, somebody told me that I photographed terribly. And I was like, so my entire life, this happened, I want to say maybe I was in high school. Every time I looked at a photo of myself, I'm like, oh, it's ugly. That's horrible. Like, I don't photograph well. Like, my eyes shut. I have big cheeks. Like, my eyes are going to shut. I have a big smile, But it took me up until like really my 40s to be okay with how I looked in photos. And that was without editing or anything else. And I just did not like to be photographed. And I'm like, why do I think I'm ugly? There's nothing ugly about me in these photos. I look fantastic, actually. And why am I allowing this narrative that somebody told me when I was in high school to determine about how I'm going to feel in photographs? And really, it's impacted a good 25 years of my life, and I allowed that to happen. But with that, by changing the dialogue, like, no, you know what? I look great in that photo. Or, you know what? Hey, my wrinkles showed, or you know what, my makeup wasn't quite right. I'm like, it's still me as a person and it's not changing who I am. And, really just being comfortable with that. But it's constant work, right? Like, for me, it's unlearning that dialogue. And so, even I took a photo, it was a couple days ago, and I'm like, ew, like gross. And I'm like, no, it's not gross. You're going to post it. You're going to do it. It is what it is. Like, that is who you are. So, it's really just changing those conversations with yourself.
And by the way, you're a very pretty woman. You both are.
Thanks.
But I wanted to put, this is just 28 seconds, but I wanted to play this because it's pertinent to the discussion that we're having, and I'd love your comment on it. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A woman spent years hating the reflection in her mirror. One day, she whispered, "I am enough." Day by day, her reflection became her friend. Self-love begins with the words you tell yourself. Speak gently, because you are listening. This is brought to you by Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope come alive. How does that resonate with you?
It's spot on. It really is. What you tell yourself is, how you're going to feel and how you're going to get through life. And, if you're constantly putting negativity out there or even judgment or, really just being cruel to yourself, you're going to end up in the same cycle over and over again. Energetically, you're going to feel bad. You know what? You're going to look bad because guess what? You're not going to be glowing because you're not going to be smiling and you're not going to be excited about your presence. And it's all circles back on how you speak to yourself and, really understanding what your individual role is without anybody else's.
Well,
I have to ask you. Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I just have to say, based off of that, how important it is, because then I hear all these situations, all these stories. It's pretty much every single time that people will say, who I met in the beginning is not who I'm with now. And that's how that shows through, because they can tell you and show you all these things. but that authentic self will have to burst through at some point.
Yeah.
And if you've done the work, you can see that ahead of time so you don't end up in those situations. So thank you for bringing that up, Kevin.
course.
And why are women so hard on themselves? Is it a cultural thing? Is it because of the magazines that everybody's been on and all that you are expected to be a certain way? Why
Even men, it's like you have to be this tall and this ripped and this amount of kids and wealth. I think it's everybody.
It's society in general, and the pressure that is just put on from social media and corporations and everything else that you have to. So my son, actually, he said the most amazing thing to me. He goes, "Mom, all that stuff you're putting on your face," and I'm washing, I'm taking makeup off. He goes, "You realize they're just selling you that stuff, right?" He goes, "You look pretty just the way you are." He goes, "But when you put on makeup, you're buying makeup, but you have to purchase something to take it off, and then you have to purchase something to keep yourself looking younger." And I was like, that is actually super insightful, buddy.
How old a man is this?
He is a young adult, yes. And I was super impressed with him. And I go, you know what? You are so accurate right now. But I'm like, I still have to do all this.
It makes me feel good. I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, I got to take is that you have done a magnificent job with that young man because he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
He understands, and as he goes through life, he's going to make you so proud of him.
Yes, all my children do, for sure. So they're amazing.
Well, it is great fun. By the way, we're talking with Brylye Collins. Did I say that right?
You did.
Yes.
Oh, great. Brylye Collins, and go to Building with Brylye and go to our website, and it's .com, isn't it, Rochelle?
Yes, it is buildingwithbrye.com, BRY. And before we close out, Brylye, have you ever thought about writing like a journal workbook or something like that for people to go through this process with you, or have you?
Yes. So I'm actually in the process of finishing up my journal workbook. It's funny because I just saw the message come through on my computer. I sent it over for a final draft review with an individual. So I'm curious to see what they said. But yep, it's in the works and getting ready to be published. So, definitely I would love to come talk to you guys about it again once it's out there. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have no choice.
Well, we already set that up.
We are going to run out of questions. We're going to run out of time before I run out of questions. And so because you are just phenomenal. And that's why when we first met, I felt like that you would be really a good person to have on Positive Talk because of there's so much dysfunction in relationships, and especially romantic relationships and all of that you can help with. And knowledge is a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you can work with somebody who has been down this road a couple of times before, because she was in HR, she was talent acquisition, and she can help you because she's very insightful. And I don't know about you, Rochelle, but insightful people are really good to have around, don't you think?
Yeah, if we don't know, what can we do other than what we know? It's okay to learn. It's okay to have change and all of those things. You probably learn that so much in talking with people, Brylye, that, hey, change is okay. And if you're not willing to let that flow, then that's up to you too. But yes, we'll have you back. I want to talk about all those great things. There's still so many questions me and Kevin have for you, as you could imagine. But thank you for spending this time with us. Everybody go to her website, find all of this stuff for yourself, buildingwithbrye.com. That's BRY. You can learn about her and connect with her. And Brylye, to close out the show, any other ways that people can connect with you or find you, and anything you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, no. So you can find me on TikTok, Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel as well that I'm adding content to daily. So, and obviously you can reach out to me through buildingwithbrye.com. And I would love to touch base with you. I have a free 15-minute consult for all clients that I work with. So even if you just want to, schedule time to get to learn a little bit more about the process and how I can help you and talk to me about your individual situation, I'd love to hear from you. So. And thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, it's been the ultimate joy. It's been our pleasure. And maybe when you come back, I'll have somebody special in my life too. The only issue that I have is, how am I going to find them in my house?
With a matchmaker like me.
Aha. And there you go. And I want to thank you for being here. It's been great fun. And Brylye, have you had a good time?
Yes, so much good. And really thank you, Brylye, for sharing the message that you can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to decide to be somebody specific for a relationship or for anyone. You just be you. And there is somebody out there that is willing to love you and meet you where you're at and still wants to continue your journey and your growth with you. So visit Brylye. She will teach you and help you out so that you can first love yourself. I know it's like this crazy, weird concept we all have, but put yourself first and see where life takes you, and then let Brylye help you with the rest of your journey. So thank you again, Brylye. I can't wait to have you back.
And I just have to say, Gowdy,
we'll get him out of that
1971,
stage.
break down the damn wall. It doesn't do you any good. And live a little. And by the way, you're connected to a beautiful soul, and you deserve. There is a lady who deserves, or maybe doesn't deserve, to have you in her life, but you can. But call Brylye, because she can kind of get you out of that wall, so that you can then lead the life that you were destined to lead. Brylye, have I said too much to dear old dad?
No. Perfect. There's no position that you are in where love is not the answer. And whether it's giving it to yourself or allowing somebody to love you as well, it's up to you. But just remember, you have the choice first. So decide to love yourself and see where life takes you.
And I want to point this out, because Brylye, and we've got to go and we're beyond, but Brylye also, if you are a single person who, like me, who enjoys being single because I don't have to I enjoy being single. She can help you live your best life as a single person and not be that guy who goes into a movie theater by himself, gets the popcorn and the pop, and is convinced that as he walks down the aisle, everybody's going to say, "Oh, that poor man, he doesn't have any friends." Get that thought out of your head. And is that an appropriate thing to say, Brylye?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually love to take myself out on dates by myself. I am very comfortable going out into restaurants alone. Don't care what anybody thinks about me.
Yep.
If I want to go out for dinner, I'm taking myself out to dinner. And if I want to go watch a movie, I do that. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with you if you're doing things solo. So
yeah, make people jealous that you get to be so happy and so fulfilled all by your lone self. If anything, that will attract them. No need to chase.
Yeah.
Great point.
Well said. Thank you, everybody. And Brylye, say goodbye.
Bye. We love you. See you again soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.